Hello, everyone. This is Suzanne. Welcome to another episode. Today, I'm going to discuss tips on how to avoid getting lost in a foreign country.
Yeah.
There are many things that we experience as travelers: fine dining, language barriers, meeting new people, and the list goes on. However, one thing is certain: if it's your first time going to another country, we do not know the terrain. It means that there's a great chance that we will get lost. So, here are some tips on how not to get lost in a foreign country. Number one, have a map. When you're going to travel abroad or to any unfamiliar place, you have to be given at least some information about your surroundings. You need to have a general idea of what the place looks like, what roads you need to take when you go to your destination, and the distance you're going to traverse the unfamiliar environment. To do that, you need a map. Having a map will make you aware of the different ways you can go to a specific area and the right routes to take. It's really handy to have one so you will know when to use the alternative routes. The map that you can bring for your trip can be a physical map or a digital map. Physical map, you know what a physical map is. It has illustrations on a piece of paper so you can manually figure out where you are or your current position. On the other hand, a digital map uses a GPS or global positioning system that uses satellites to accurately pinpoint the location of your device. Smartphones are usually where the digital maps are. They can also be on tablets and, of course, car navigation devices. Also, digital maps are extremely convenient because they're very portable. One of my favorite apps to use while I'm abroad is Maps.me. It allows you to download maps for offline use. Perfect for those trips when your phone stays in airplane mode most of the time. You can even mark places on the map and pull out directions from them later. Again, all while you're doing it offline. On the map, note street names surrounding where you're staying and major landmarks nearby so you can go back to the general vicinity even if your language skills are limited. We go to number two. Research places thoroughly before going. Another good tip to avoid getting lost is to thoroughly research places before you go. So if you're going to one part of town to another, think about researching transportation, places to go, places to eat, whether it's tourist friendly, and so on. Remember, the more you know about the place before you get there, the better you will feel more confident and you will know if there will be any nasty surprises to be aware of. For example, pickpockets or travel scammers. What's more is that some areas will probably be discouraged for tourists and some areas will have inconsistent transport. So you don't want to end up in a place where all the train stops early in the evening and you suddenly find yourself stranded. We go to number three. Write and download photos of the places you want to visit. If you're staying in a hotel or a hostel, ask the receptionist to write down the name of the places you want to visit in local characters. No need to play charades with the taxi driver if they're written in letters they understand, especially when you're in China or in South Korea, where you can't read Chinese or Korean characters. Now, if they're written with the alphabets that we know of, spellings and pronunciation vary, and they might be called differently in the vernacular. But a sure way to show your destination is to take a photo of where you want to go. You can print it out or save it on your phone and show it to the driver. If it's a major landmark, even locals can recognize it and point you to the right direction. We go to number four. Keep note of the landmarks. Situational awareness is the name of the game. So, if you're in a new place, be like a sponge and take note of your surroundings. It can save your life. We go to number five. Download Google Translate. Google recently announced a great new feature of its Translate app, the offline translation. If you are in a country where there is language barrier, this tool will come in handy as you don't have to rely on internet connection to communicate. If you're lost and can't speak the language, then this app will help. But be cautious, and don't be obvious that you're a foreigner. You have to act like a local and don't act like you're lost. Maybe you can try a phrase like, "Hello, would you know where the Eiffel Tower is?" Or, "Hello, can you help me catch a train going to the city center?" Offering a location doesn't really mean that you're lost. It's just saying that you want to go to that location. But of course, since you have already that app, learn a few common phrases in the local language. And so we go to number 6, learn basic phrases. Learning essential travel phrases can help you get by a lot easier when you're abroad. You don't need naman to learn the whole language, but a couple of sentences will help you navigate your way around and assist you in asking directions. Keywords such as left, right, straight, where, how much, train, bus, taxi are good keywords to use and know so you won't get lost. That way, if you end up asking the locals for directions, you'll be able to understand what they're saying. We go to number 7, memorize your accommodation address. Of course, you're going to stay somewhere, either hotel, hostel, vacation home, or even your friend's home. Therefore, you absolutely must know and keep in mind your current address, because if not, you'll be having a hard time going about in unfamiliar places. You need to remember this clearly and note it down on paper or on your phone. Most likely, your accommodation is the starting point before you stroll and enjoy the country. If you know the address of the place where you're staying, then you can ask the local people for directions or use your physical or digital map to know where your place is. We go to number 8, ask around if necessary. Since you're going to places that probably you have never been to, or at least you're an alien in that surrounding, asking people who are knowledgeable would be of great help. If you need suggestions, you can ask them places for good shopping, specific locations that you're looking for, famous food and restaurants, historical churches, and loads of information that you don't know. There are always people around, so that's one good thing you can take advantage of. Locals are the best people to inquire to. Now, let's go to what to do if you get lost. Number 1, don't ask directions on the street. While it may seem logical to ask someone on the street, it's safer, especially when you're traveling alone, to find a store and ask directions inside. If you're out on the street and you tell them that you're lost, you've just potentially putting a target on your back. Asking inside a store doesn't give anyone a chance to give you the wrong directions and eventually follow you that will lead you to a bad situation. If possible, fake it till you make it. If it's not an option to ask a store, try to find a security guard or a police officer or pop into a hotel and ask the staff there. Stay safe and let only a few people know that you're lost. Number 2, see if you can spot a fellow tourist or a tour guide. If there is a large group in the area with cameras and someone holding a flag leading a group, chances are they are tourists. Ask for their help. Tourists are always very willing to help fellow tourists, and generally it's a safer option to ask for help. You can also ask the tour guide where they're headed. If it's somewhere where you're familiar with, ask if you can tag along until you get there. They can lead you back where you're trying to go, or at least point out to that direction. We go to number 3, retrace your steps. Try to think of the last thing you remember passing. If you took pictures throughout the day, use them to retrace your steps. If you have landmarks, the better. And the last thing to remember when you're lost, we go to number 4, don't panic. This is going to be very difficult, but the last thing that you need to do is panic. It's at this moment that you need absolute clarity in your thinking, because it could very well mean the difference between life or death. No matter how serious the situation is, go into survival mode. Be skeptical of absolutely everything you encounter and always be vigilant. So this ends our episode for today. Just to recap, I gave you 8 important tips on how not to get lost in a foreign country. And should you gone astray, I also gave you 4 important tips on what to do should you get lost. So I hope these travel tips helped you a lot. Till my next episode, you take care and always stay safe. Bye!